Well, hello and welcome to my channel. I debated a long time making this video, but I feel like there's not many
women my age
people
that
out there
are
that are
looking
kind of in my
to
boat
do this
and
for
share
enjoyment
similar
and for
experiences to
health,
me.
not to
So I
compete in
thought that
bodybuilding
I
shows.
would kick this channel off with this video about my weight loss journey. I don't plan on this channel being entirely about weight loss, but it'll be sprinkled in there. Really into fitness, things like that. Quick background, I'm 44 years old. I have 4 children, and I very recently have gotten into weight or lifting weights, um, but that will be another video. But I wanted to kind of start off by going over my journey that I've had over my entire life. Um, when I was growing up, I did not struggle with my weight. Just for context, I'm 5'7". In high school, I was probably 125 pounds, soaking wet. I would get made fun of because I was so skinny. So um, there was that, and that was rough. Um, when I was 18, I became pregnant with my first daughter, and I ate everything under the sun and ended up gaining about 50 pounds with her. Um, when she was only 6 months old, I became pregnant with my second daughter. And I didn't gain much weight with her because after I had my first daughter was born, I ended up getting pregnant again with my second daughter. And I had managed to lose a little bit of weight after that pregnancy, but since there wasn't much time in between, I had probably only lost like 15 or 20 pounds, and so with my second pregnancy, that is about all I gained. And so at the end of both of those pregnancies, I was probably around 185 pounds. When my second daughter was around a year and a half old, I split from their father. Was not a healthy situation for me, and I didn't manage to lose much weight. I probably lost maybe 20 pounds, and once we split, then I was able to kind of more concentrate on myself and my daughters, and trying to kind of find my footing in life because I was a very young mom. I did manage to lose some more weight, and I got down to, I don't know, I'd say maybe 100, somewhere between 140 to 150. That kind of seemed where my body liked to sit. I dated for a couple of years, and then I ended up getting into another relationship, and it was a very toxic relationship. It started off great, but it turned into a very toxic relationship, and I would find myself emotionally eating to cope with this, and I did gain some weight, maybe 20 pounds or so. And again, the guy that I was with made it a point to point it out to me. So then that also made me very self-conscious about it. And just not a good situation. So after 2 years of being with him, we split up. And then again, I dropped some weight, and I got back down to around that 150 mark. And that is when I met my current husband. And so, like with a lot of relationships that start out, you eat out a lot, you go out a lot, and that's exactly what happened. And again, over the course of probably 2 years, I gained about 35 pounds. He proposed to me, and then I was frantic to get this additional weight off of me. for our wedding. And he knew it, so he got me a membership to a gym. And I went to the gym and I had a free personal trainer session. So I did that, and it was awful. That was my first experience with the gym, and he worked me so hard that I puked. But I also did eat steak and potatoes before I went to the gym because, I was about losing weight, so let's eat steak and potatoes. But I ended up bringing up my dinner at the gym, and over the course of the next few days, I was so sore. I couldn't lift my arms, and it was awful. And so, needless to say, I never went back. And when we got married, I was the heaviest I had ever been in my entire life. And I was sitting at probably around that 185 mark. 6 months after getting married, I became pregnant with my third daughter. And in that meantime, I hadn't managed to lose any weight. So with that pregnancy, I only gained again about 15-20 pounds because I had the additional weight on me. I got up to 199 pounds at the end of that pregnancy when I gave birth, and I was proud of myself that I didn't hit that 200 mark, and took joy out of that. And then after I had her, I did get down to my pre-pregnancy weight of around that 180, 185 mark. And I maintained that for about a year and a half until I became pregnant with my now fourth daughter. And with her, again, I got to that 199 pound mark at the end of that pregnancy. And again, proud of myself that I didn't hit the 200s. And after I had her, I probably lost some weight. But it was a rough time, and I emotionally ate. And we also transitioned from moving from Minnesota to Wisconsin. And during that whole process, I did manage to get up to about 200 pounds. Once we moved to Wisconsin and kind of settled in, I just decided enough was enough. I knew I was done having kids, and I was ready to get this weight off of me. So I began my first serious weight loss mission. So I started out eating better. I bought some Jillian Michaels DVDs, and I worked out in the basement, and I really pushed myself, and I went to that extreme. I started running, and I started doing all of these things that I think was influenced by the times. It was around 2010, and at that time I didn't realize it, but it wasn't sustainable for me. I also would find myself getting nauseous when I would work out, because I'd work out so hard and I would vomit. And looking back, I don't think I intentionally made myself vomit, but I probably could have did a better job of holding it in and kind of just taking a break and taking a sip of water, but I let myself purge. And I did manage to lose over, I'd say maybe within that year, not sure how long, I lost 65 pounds. So I went from 200 pounds down to 135. Lowest weight I'd been since high school, since having my first daughter when I was 18. And I maintained that weight for a little while. It was hard. It was hard to maintain that low of a weight for me. I did gain probably about 10 pounds because it was just too much work to maintain such a low body weight. So then we ended up moving again a couple of years later, and I managed to kind of keep my weight between like that 140 to 145. That at that time seemed to kind of be what was I felt was comfortable for me. And when my weight would creep up to that 150, 155 mark is when I would freak out and go on my strict diet, start exercising hard, start running, because running is the pivotal symbol of health. And I did that for a long time. Also started to use suppositories, Fleet suppositories, because when I would diet back then, I wasn't regular, and that additional weight would show on the scale. So instead of like internally knowing that, hey, you haven't gone to the bathroom, that's why your scale is up, I couldn't stand seeing the number go up, the scale higher. So I would do those suppository enemas, probably more often than I should have. And I just did not have a healthy relationship with the scale at that point. That was probably around like the 2012-13 mark. I stopped, again, wasn't sustainable the way that I was doing it. So I did eventually gain some of the weight back. And in 2015 is when I went on another memorable weight loss journey. I mean, I would do the lose 5, gain 10. But it was 2015 where I then went on another journey and started working out hard, working out several hours a day, getting up in the morning, doing my DVDs, going and running 3 miles in the evening, and not eating much. I was eating 1,200 calories because that was the magic number. And I also, again, picked up another bad behavior, and I started to do coffee enemas. And at the time, again, I wasn't regular. It made me feel bad not being regular. The scale was up, and I would do these enemas, and I would weigh myself before, and I would weigh myself after. And it's a really toxic behavior and not a great relationship with the scale. And I would weigh myself daily, if not several times a day. At this point, I was probably around the 180, 85 mark, and I lost, I think, probably 20, 25 pounds, and got down to like 150, 155. Again, my approach to it wasn't sustainable. So, of course, I gained it all back. And not only did I gain it all back, I gained a lot of additional weight. So that was 2015. 2018, I decided to try Weight Watchers. Actually, I hadn't gained the additional weight yet, so I got back up, like I said, to the 180, 185, and I decided to do Weight Watchers. And the program was great. It started off well. Again, I don't think I was eating enough. Looking back, not a fan of the program and the nutritional point system that they would put onto food. But at the time, it was working. And I graduated from Jillian Michaels' DVDs to Beachbody. And I was doing Shanti's workouts, and I was doing Autumn Calabrese's workouts. I like the 60 or 90-day obsession, which I never did the entire 90 days. I think I made it maybe 60 days. I did lose, I think, about 35 pounds. I lost about 35 pounds. I got down to 145 at that point. I wasn't doing any sort of enemas at that point, but I did start to kind of abuse the diuretics that I was on. intermittently had high blood pressure over the years. It's when I'm overweight, I get high blood pressure. It's strong family history. And so as I was losing weight, I was able to get off of my water pill, and I started to take those water pills a couple of days before my weigh-in so that my scale would be lower and I would have less water weight. Again, not healthy, not sustainable. My mental, like my mindset wasn't there how it should have been. And by the end of, well, by the end of 2019, I had gained all of that weight back plus some. So I was pushing 200 pounds, and in 2001 I attempted another weight loss. I lost probably 10 pounds, 15 max, gained it all back plus some. And at the beginning of 2022, I was up to 215 pounds. The heaviest I'd ever been, 9 months pregnant with all 4 of my daughters. That January, I was looking back at pictures of myself from Christmas, and I just couldn't believe how much I had let myself get out of hand. And I don't remember any particular thought or time where I was like, this is it. I just did it. I was like, enough is enough. I woke up one morning and decided that I was going to take control of my life. And I did start off easier in the sense of I started my exercise. I started slow. I did the walk at home videos with Leslie, and but I did knock my calories down to 1,200, and I still wasn't quite in that the healthy mindset or relationship with the scale. I did, eat less, 1,200 calories. Took it easy on the exercise, so I thought I was doing better, and I did do better as far as my exercise. I did that, and then when I got past that point, I graduated onto Girl with Joel videos. Loved those, and all this time, not eating much. I didn't track my calories because I knew that it would become obsessive, and I didn't want that to be a focus, tracking every single thing I put in my mouth. I just wanted it to be simple, but I know I wasn't eating much. I ate very low calorie foods, and not a very high volume, but the weight was coming off, and I was losing 1 to 2 pounds a week. And as I worked through this journey, I noticed that my mindset started to get better. I did start off again using my water pills before I weighed in, even though I wasn't going to meetings or anything. I was still doing that, and I recognized that behavior, and then I stopped, and I threw out all of those pills because it didn't matter as long as my weight was trending down, and as long as I was doing what I felt like I needed to do for myself. That's what mattered. The scale didn't matter. And over the course of 6 to 9 months, I really shifted a lot of that. I actually started to eat a little bit more, more fruits and veggies. I was making good decisions, and I managed to lose 60 pounds in I think 10 months. And I didn't really have a specific goal weight. I had a goal range. So my range was to be between 155 and 160, because that kind of seemed where my body liked to sit. And I didn't want to get to a point where I wouldn't be able to sustain the weight that I was at. I also realized during this time, watching a lot of YouTube videos and trying to find places to stay motivated and determined, and watching other people's journeys, um, I realized that how you lose weight is what you have to continue to do to keep the weight off. I don't know why, like, I never put that together. Sorry if you hear my dogs. So I made it a point to be more mindful of how I was losing weight. When I got down to 158, I remember the day. It was in September, so it took me about 9 months to lose 60-ish pounds. And at that point, I decided that I was going to go see a dietitian because, like, losing weight was never my struggle. It was maintaining the weight that I struggled with. So I thought I would go see a dietitian to see if she could help me kind of come up with a plan on how I was going to maintain my weight. That was not helpful. It actually almost triggered some old behaviors because she wanted me to stay at 1,500 calories, weigh myself daily, and if I noticed that my weight went up, so she wanted me to stay at 1,500 calories and weigh myself daily. And if I noticed that my weight went up, to then modify from there, and basically said I could do protein shakes as meal replacements to kind of help with that. As we know from my history here, I can't weigh myself daily. I can't put too much focus on, I just can't put too much focus on it. So she had some really old school thoughts behind it. But I just decided that I was going to keep doing what I was doing, but just eat a little bit more to get into maintenance when I was at maintenance. So I did kind of work on that for a little while and trying to kind of find that sweet spot. And I lost probably about 8 more pounds over the next few months. And within that time, I graduated from doing Grow with Joe videos to Katherine Gervin. Really wanted to start working on muscle growth versus kind of just cardio. Again, because cardio was how you lost weight, and that's what I needed to do. And I wanted to do more strength based. So also forgot to mention is that when the weather started to get nicer, kind of 5 months into my journey or so, I did attempt to run, and I ran a couple of times a week for a couple of weeks to a month, and just decided that wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it, so I decided to walk, and that's what I've been doing since. So I also got out of that mindset of that I needed to run, I needed to be pushing hard in the cardio realm, that is, to lose weight. So yeah, then I transitioned to Carolyn Gervin and enjoyed her videos, did a couple of her programs, and all while still trying to kind of figure out how much food to eat. When I got down to about 150 pounds, I started eating even more because that was kind of my end. I just 150 was the lowest I wanted to get, and kind of start working more on body recomp versus like trying to lose weight. So that's more where my focus shifted, and that was the end of 2022. After doing Carolyn Gervin from probably about September, October of 2022 until I think May of 2023, I felt like I was outgrowing the weights I had at home, and I really wasn't advancing. And weightlifting, I really, really enjoyed lifting, and when I enjoy something, I want to learn everything about it. So I got on YouTube and I was watching videos, and learned about progressive overload and hypertrophy, can't say that word, and knew that I needed to get into a gym. And so in May of 2023, I got Team for Never Lean. He's a YouTuber, Harry, and started his app. And it was very different from what I used to. I'm used to, low to moderate weight, high repetition, like that HIIT style, move, 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 and then going from that to heavy, low reps. It was an adjustment, and it was hard for me. I hummed. I just didn't feel right because it wasn't what I was used to. But I trusted the process, and I trusted Harry because check his channel out. He's great. And I started to notice some changes and some body recomp, and I started to lose fat and gain muscle while maintaining my weight relatively. I mean, I stayed within a few pounds through this whole time. I would sit around that 150 to 153, and I felt like that was good for me. And I slowly started increasing my calories again, and because I was now trying to lift heavy, progressing into lifting heavy, I felt like I had got through a lot of my mental struggles. I wasn't weighing myself, but maybe once a month. And to this day, I still don't think about getting on the scale. I don't know when I got on the scale last. A scale has no hold over me anymore. I started eating more, and I started tracking. I felt like I was in a place where I could track, and I was tracking more to make sure that I was getting my protein in and that I was eating enough. Because again, working on that, it's okay, you can eat. Because it was always eat less, lose weight, cardio, eat less, 1,200 calories, cardio. And so, working through that mindset change. So I started to track, and I didn't track everything. I tracked, mostly my macros, protein, making sure I was getting my protein in. I didn't want to go to the gym and progress and lift and then not get my protein in. That was important to me. And that was my first introduction to the gym after, 18 years ago, puking in the toilet. And it was awkward at first. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on form and basically kind of was a self-taught besides the, tutorials that were in Harry's app that I was using. But I like to watch several different videos so that, there's always little nuances and little idiosyncrasies that, you can pick up from different people. And I slowly progressed, and now I love it. I have gained a lot of muscle. I have increased my calories, so I am eating 2,300 calories, 2,400 calories a day. I'm doing a slight surplus right now. I'm trying to gain some muscle. I have gained quite a bit of muscle over, the last, it's been 10 months that I've been in the gym, 9-10 months. I'm loving it. I go 5 days a week in the mornings before work. Not a morning person, and never have been, but I have kids that are in sports and they take up evenings and weekends. And so in order for me to get it done and to prioritize myself and to work towards my goals, I get up at 5:30 and I'm at the gym by 6:15, and I'm home by 7:15, and I make my kids lunch and I get them off to school, and I start work about 7:30, 7:45, depending on how it goes. And I also make time to walk. I'll walk with my husband outside. I will walk on our treadmill during long, boring work meetings, or just go on the treadmill after work. And this is my goal for the treadmill is cardio, but it's also just to get my steps in so that I keep my activity up because I have a desk job and I sit all day. I do get up and I move around, but it's important for me to get my steps in. And my step goal is a minimum of 8,000 steps. That's my minimum goal. I try to get closer to 10. Sometimes I don't, and that's okay. I've always been the go 100%, go 1,000%. If you mess up, then it would derail me. I couldn't move past it, and I've gotten past all of that. I've might miss a day of working out, which is rare. But if I do, I do. But I plan. Like, it's so important to me, and it's something that I enjoy doing, that I make sure I find the time where I can still engage and be involved with my family, because that is important to me. But so is myself. So like, my daughter plays volleyball and basketball, they're in track. So whenever we have all day tournaments, I plan ahead. I pack my food, I bring it. Don't eat concession food, one, because I don't want to and I don't like it, but it doesn't do me any good. Depending on when we gotta leave in the mornings on Saturdays to tournaments, I'll get up earlier than I have to, and I'll go to the gym and I'll get it done because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something that day. The gym is a non-negotiable for me right now, and my wonderful, loving husband of 20 years now is very supportive and does what he can to make sure that I get to the gym. He helps me meal prep. He cooks for me. And that was another thing that really helped me through my journey, was meal prepping. But that's a video for another day. Just wanted to kind of go over my journey. But if it wasn't for the support from him, it would have been harder. Mornings I'm running behind in the morning. If I'm at the gym longer than expected, he does what I would normally do in the mornings, which is making the kids lunches and, starting my daughter's car and doing all these things that if I'm home, I do. And he picks up the slack, so to speak, when necessary, and meal preps for me on Sundays, cooks for me during the week. We both work from home. Man is a godsend, but I think that about wraps this video up. I will do more videos on how I actually lost the weight this time, because this is the last time. The mindset, the mind frame, the thought behind it all is way different. It's a balance. I live a balanced life. I have a balanced diet. Still love my crumble cookie. But yes, so thank you for tuning in. More videos to come. Get into some fitness videos as well, and maybe some family videos, because they're pretty awesome. So thank you for tuning in.